You know, the exact feeling. You're just brushing your teeth or maybe washing up after dinner, and suddenly the water just completely stops draining. It just sits there, looking murky and rising up the bowl, and that wave of frustration instantly hits you. It's an absolutely universal household headache. And what's our most natural instinct? Well, you probably rush right to the cabinet under the sink, grab the brightest, heaviest jug of liquid drain cleaner you can find, and dump the whole thing down the drain, just crossing your fingers for a miracle. But have you ever wondered what's actually happening down there in the dark? Welcome to our explainer for today. We're going to uncover the hidden science and, quite frankly, the hidden dangers behind these commercial quick fix drain cleaners. We're going to look at the hard data to see what these chemicals are really doing to your plumbing. Okay, let's dive into our roadmap for today. We'll start with number 1, the quick fix trap. 2, caustic versus acidic cleaners. 3, dangerous DIY drain mistakes. 4, pipes most at risk. And 5, safer alternatives and professionals.
Section 1, the quick fix trap. The myth of the magic bottle.
I know it's incredibly tempting to just reach for a fast fix, especially those bottles screaming maximum strength on the label. But here's the reality check. Depending on the chemical ingredients and the type of blockage, these cleaners can actually accelerate corrosion in a big way. Pipe damage isn't just some random magic. It is a very specific chemical process. It usually stems from a 1-2 punch of direct chemical exposure and the byproducts of the reactions taking place right there in your drain. Highly caustic or strongly acidic cleaners literally start eating away at and weakening your pipe walls, especially where deposits have already built up. And here's a pretty terrifying secondary effect. As these chemicals soften the scale and grime, that sludge can dislodge in massive chunks. So instead of washing away like you'd hope, it gets pushed even deeper into the line, creating a much denser, harder to resolve blockage further down the system.
Now, what's really interesting about this next concept is how it works against us. It's called dwell time. Most of these products are designed as pour and wait solutions. They literally require you to just let the chemicals sit inside the plumbing for an extended period of time to react with the clog. But think about that for a second. That very waiting period, that dwell time, is exactly the mechanism causing the most danger to your home's infrastructure. Because the longer those harsh chemicals stay in direct contact with the inside of your plumbing, the higher the risk of wear on your pipe coatings and metal surfaces. It's basically a slow burn. The damage isn't always some sudden, catastrophic pipe burst right in front of you. When you use repeated chemical treatments to try and fix a stubborn clog, you're essentially setting a ticking time bomb. This repeated exposure leads to invisible deterioration that might not show up for months. And then, out of nowhere, it reveals itself as a mysterious leak or pinhole corrosion behind your walls. Let's move to Section 2, caustic versus acidic cleaners, battle of the harsh chemicals.
We really need to understand the actual chemical weapons we're pouring into our sinks. Most major store-bought DIY liquids fall into 2 distinct, high-stakes categories. Let's compare them side by side. Over on the left, we've got caustic cleaners. These are usually sodium hydroxide based. They're formulated specifically to digest organic matter, things like hair, grease, food waste. But if used incorrectly, they can still seriously harm certain pipe materials. Now, on the right side, we have acidic cleaners, which are often based on sulfuric acid. These guys are designed to dissolve tough mineral scale, but the trade-off? It's steep. They are exceptionally harsh on metal components and drastically increase the likelihood of corrosion, especially if you're dealing with an aging plumbing system.
All right, Section 3, dangerous DIY drain mistakes, when human error meets chemical hazard.
So the crucial point here is that we've talked about the chemistry, but we really need to talk about us. The biggest risks usually come from homeowners misusing these powerful chemicals, not just the chemicals themselves. Human error is what turns a hazardous liquid into a full-blown plumbing disaster. Let's run through the most frequent compounding errors people make. First up, mixing chemicals. Combining a caustic cleaner with an acidic one, or say pouring a new product over some unknown chemical you tried yesterday? No way. That can cause violent reactions and release highly toxic fumes right into your home. Second, using them on the wrong system, like dumping them into a septic system that absolutely can't handle them. Third is what the source calls repeated boil the problem treatments, which is just blindly pouring more and more chemicals instead of mechanically clearing the pipe. And finally, just ignoring the recurring symptoms that are practically screaming about a bigger issue.
Let's just take a quick second to reflect on this quote directly from the source material. Misuse is the true danger here. If you have slow draining across multiple fixtures in your home, or if your toilet gurgles every time you run the bathroom sink, you are ignoring major symptoms. those signs usually point to a much deeper blockage in the main line, or maybe a venting problem that a bottle of surface-level chemicals simply cannot reach, let alone actually fix.
Section 4. Pipes most at risk. Not all plumbing is created equal.
And this brilliantly illustrates why we have to shift our focus to the physical pipes themselves, because material matters immensely when you're deciding whether or not to pour a harsh cleaner down the drain. If your home has older plumbing with thinner metal walls, galvanized steel, or aging cast iron sections, you are highly vulnerable to long-term corrosion. Even if the chemical product doesn't immediately cause a pipe to leak the very first time you use it, the repeated chemical exposure accelerates the deterioration immensely. And this happens particularly at the joints and seams, which are literally the weakest points of your entire plumbing infrastructure. And please remember this: the destruction isn't just hidden away inside the walls. These cleaners are highly corrosive to the visible parts of your home too. Splashback from pouring these heavy liquids, or just residual contact with exposed metal, can permanently scar and destroy chrome, brass, and those special designer finishes on your expensive kitchen and bathroom fixtures. Nobody wants to ruin a brand new faucet.
Finally, Section 5. Safer alternatives and professionals. How to clear clogs safely.
Okay, let's relieve some of this tension. Now that we actually know the risks, what is the right way to handle a clogged drain? Well, the answer lies in practical, mechanical methods that physically remove the problem without relying on aggressive pipe-eating chemicals. Here is your escalation plan for safe clearing. Step 1. Start with a good old-fashioned plunger. It works incredibly well for kitchen and bathroom sinks, especially if the blockage is right near the drain opening. Step 2. If plunging doesn't do the trick, escalate to a drain snake or an auger. This physically reaches down to pull out or break up deeper clogs, completely avoiding the need to soak your pipes in reactive substances. And step 3 is all about routine prevention. Use simple strainers to catch hair in food. Run hot water flushes periodically. Just stop dumping grease or fibrous materials down the drain in the first place.
But hey, sometimes mechanical DIY just isn't enough. You need to know when to stop and call in a professional. Be on the lookout for these massive red flags. If the clogs just keep returning no matter what you do, if multiple drains are backing up at the exact same time, if you start hearing weird gurgling sounds in nearby fixtures when you run the water, or if there are foul odors that simply won't go away. These are major signs of deep mainline obstructions or serious venting problems. Pouring chemicals at these issues will absolutely only worsen the situation. Calling a professional for an inspection is the safest, most logical next step.
So, what does this all mean for us? That brings us to our final thought for this explainer. Is a temporary quick fix truly worth the long-term destruction of your home's plumbing? The next time water is backing up in your sink, I want you to remember the hidden chemistry, that dangerous dwell time, and the vulnerable metal sitting right behind your walls. Pause before you pour. Grab a plunger, find a drain snake, or call a pro, and let's treat our plumbing with the care it actually requires.